This is the official EFL Podcast.
Hello again and welcome to the official EFL Podcast, previewing and reviewing the best of the match action across the EFL and its competitions. On this week's edition of the show, well, we're looking forward to the second legs of the Sky Bet Championship and Sky Bet League One playoffs. Joining us to discuss the matches are Sky Sports EFL pundits Andy Hinchcliffe and Don Goodman. So Andy, first of all, from what we've seen so far, this is really typical playoffs, isn't it? Tight games, special goals deciding them.
Yeah, it's not just in the Championship. I think right across the playoffs, the first legs have been really tight. But that's understandable. The dynamics of a two-legged tie mean that neither side, whether you're home or away, want to be out of it for the second leg. So it has been a little bit cagey. Sides away from home playing a little bit more defensively than we might have seen in the regular season games. But it's all because there is the second game. And that's what makes the second game so exciting. It's that build-up from the first match to the second. Played at different times, and obviously the dynamics of where the games are being played as well in terms of crowds. It's fantastic. Again, you get that balance from one tie to the next. It's completely different. Of course, the emphasis on the players as well is completely different as well. The challenge for them, because this is something that they're not used to. So that's what makes it so exciting. But right across the EFL, it's all to play for.
Yeah, Don. How important is it in that first game that you stay in these ties, like we've seen, even if you have lost by just that one goal?
Well, I guess until last week, you'd say it's absolutely vital, But no, I think you go into any two-legged affair, and the remit has to be for both teams actually to still be in the tie after the first leg, because we've all seen what can happen. I mean, obviously, what happened last week in the Champions League was rather extreme, and you wouldn't expect it to happen on a regular basis. But what it will do is provide motivation and belief for those teams that do find themselves behind after a first leg.
Yes, so the first game we'll be looking ahead to will be West Brom against Aston Villa. Firstly, though, here's a reminder of what happened at Villa Park.
Rodriguez! Oh, what a fingertip from Jed Steer. How about this for athleticism? It's brilliant from Rodriguez, just passing it into that top corner. Just brushes the fingertips. It's a magnificent save.
Here's Adoma. El Mohammadi. Oh, and Abraham. First opportunity for him.
Could he have maybe controlled it? Give him a better chance maybe of getting a shot in on target.
Oh, mistake by Whelan, and Gale can capitalise! Well, Villa opened the door for them, and Dwight Gale has walked right through it.
He knows exactly what he wants to do, but it's being alive in the first place, anticipating the mistake. He's not caught unawares, he's on his toes, he's moving forward, one touch, and then he absolutely buries it.
Whelan. Muyuzo Ghazi. He did have a bit of joy on the other flank in the first half. Abraham!
Well, this is not easy for Tammy Abraham. He just drops a little bit deeper, edge of the box. Tammy Abraham then makes his forward move.
Here's Taylor. Johnston able to claw it away from immediate danger. El Mohammadi finding McGinn. Grealish wants it. Grealish has it. Horahan wants it edge of the box as well. On his left foot. Oh, it's a beauty! That's why he wanted it on his left foot. A stunning equaliser. To meet Grealish. Horahan on his weaker foot, might run for Green, will run for Grealish. Decision to make. The decision is penalty.
Once you slide in like that, if you don't make contact with the ball, if you catch the man, it's always going to be a penalty. There's maybe not an awful lot of contact, but you get off your feet like that, incredibly risky, and there's no real complaints from Gibbs or the West Brom players.
Tammy Abraham shouldering the responsibility from the spot again. But this, the most important yet. As cool as you like. A quite sensational turnaround. Morahan doesn't get there in the near post. Rodriguez to try and keep it alive. Oh, and Abraham, as he pushed Holgate there.
This is desperation to get to the ball. He hooks it up in the air and then goes chasing it. And that is a clear push. That is a penalty.
Here's Murphy. Oh, cutely done. Here's Morrison. Gale arriving, but Steer is there. Gale, in his bid to get on the end of it, has caught the goalkeeper. Oh, and he is going to go to his pocket here, and Dwight Gale walks. What a body blow to West Bromwich Albion.
There's no need to follow through and get anywhere near the goalkeeper. You've been booked, why risk it?
Advantage Aston Villa, but West Brom a long, long way from out of this tie.
So a 2-1 win there for Aston Villa after coming back from a goal behind against West Brom. Here's the reaction of both managers, starting with winning manager Dean Smith.
I'm pleased that we won the game. Probably not so pleased with our performance today. We can certainly perform a lot better than that. Albion came with a game plan to sit behind the ball and slow the game down, which they did very well. And they capitalised on a mistake from us and gave them something to hold on to. But probably our movement, our use of the ball and keeping our width, we didn't do well enough in the first half. So we never created as many good chances as we should have with the possession that we had and the players that we've got. I thought second half we were a little bit better. I thought we kept our width better, created a little bit more opportunities. Took a really good strike from Conor Hourihane to get us back in it.
Given that you had all that possession, was it a bit frustrating that you couldn't manage more than 2 goals? You seemed to be going for it, even right into stoppage time. You were urging them on for a third. Yeah,
that was probably one of my frustrations with the lads at the end. They'd gone down to 10 men, and I just felt it was an opportunity to go and get another. We've had the ball in around their final third most of the game, and just didn't show enough guile on the ball, and probably a few of the players would probably hold their hands up and say it wasn't their best games. But we found a way to win again, and I think the good thing about this squad of players, they keep finding ways to win, and there's also better performances in their lockers as well.
I sense that you'll approach the second leg on Tuesday night in very much a similar vein in terms of taking.
Yeah, it will. I think their approach might be different. I think their supporters of the Hawthorns might want them to play a little bit differently, which makes it for a good game. If we can go and win the game again, we get through, and that's important. I said before today, the tie's not going to be over after 90 minutes today, and it's not, but we've won a game of football, which is what we've got used to doing over the last 2 or 3 months, and we need to go and win another game of football now.
The crowd were absolutely fantastic for you today.
They were brilliant. They got behind us. I think after their goal, there was a couple of sloppy passes where probably 3 or 4 months ago they'd got on the players' backs, but they got behind them, stuck with them, and they could see the work rate that the players were putting in. And the last message before they went out today was to go and be a good teammate, and because I don't think there's too much of a difference between the two teams. We've got internationals, they've got internationals, we've got ex-Prem, they've got ex-Prem. And I think the difference at the moment probably is the teamwork at the moment, the team ethic, and the togetherness that our players are showing.
Dean Smith speaking to the media there now. Here's West Bromwich Albion manager James Shan.
I thought we defended very, very well. It's one of those things. Like I said, the nature of our shape, considering the second goal, and our positional play wasn't great, and things we need to look and address and things like that. A penalty. So even in that madness of 4 minutes, as I said, they struck through a crowd of people and bodies from distance and got a penalty.
Dwight Gale's sending off, Jimmy. What did you make of it?
Very, very, very frustrating. I've looked back at it two or three times. His first booking, I think every time he's gone to take a long throw in, he's walked. He hasn't stood still, so he's gone in the direction of throwing. So I'm a little bit baffled by that one, if I'm honest with you. I don't see people running and jogging for every time the ball goes dead to get a restart. Obviously, the second one which led to the sending off, he's gone for the ball. If he gets any kind of contact on it, it's a goal. If he gets any kind of touch on the ball, it's in the back of the net, and he's well within his right to go and do so. A little bit unjust, if I'm honest with you.
Of course, his absence on Tuesday as well, added to the fact that Hal Robson-Kanu is also suspended for that game, leaves us with just one fit and available striker.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, obviously, we have to go and have a look and have a look at formulating a game plan. It's obviously now we need to go and win the game. We're behind in the tie, so the emphasis will be on us. Coming out and coming front foot, and we've obviously lost Dwight and lost Al, and let's have a look at finding ways to get somebody else up the pitch, a little bit higher up the pitch, maybe to get alongside Jay Rodriguez a little bit earlier, a little bit quicker. But also what it does present itself opportunity for the boys who, I keep saying week in, week out that they train with a real appetite and a good work ethic, and they're chomping at the bit. So an opportunity will present itself for somebody to come and and possibly become the hero.
It's the old cliche, Jimmy. It's only half time. This one is far from over.
It is, yeah. I said to the boys there, and it's. We've responded very, very well in a lot of games going behind, and we go into a tie behind. So the beauty is we've got 90 minutes now to go and perform, and I'm sure our home fans and our home crowd will play a big part. Obviously we've had a good following today, and they've sold that away end out, and I think they've been fantastic for us, and my thought process is that the Hawthorns will be as loud, if not louder, than Villa Park was today, and that can only spur us on.
Yeah, Andy, you were at Villa Park. First time this season that Villa have beaten a side above them. How much of a boost will that have given them going into the second leg now and maybe into a final?
Well, it's all positive for Villa. Of course, there is a difficulty when you're at home in that first leg. The home fans want you to take maybe a 2 or 3 goal lead into the second game. But West Brom made it really tough for Villa. I don't think that'll be kind of the aspect that Dean Smith looks at, the fact they've beaten a team above them. It was about winning that first leg, whether it be by a goal, 2 or 3, and take that positivity into the second game. But the way that Villa found a way to win was impressive because, as I say, West Brom made it very hard for them. They had to be really persistent, play in a different way than we've seen maybe Villa play over the last 13 games or so. So, yeah, everything went well for Villa, and it can get better. But again, that second game is completely different again, under the lights, a hostile crowd as well. So Villa have still got a lot of work to do, but it's very positive from the first game for them.
Yeah, Dean Smith alluded to it in his press conference there, that they found a way to win again. When going a goal behind, how important is it to keep your calm in these games?
Well, it would have been very easy for Villa to lose their heads, really, because they were very professional in what was, I thought, a really tricky atmosphere. Because, of course, you're at home, as I said, they want to kind of take the game to West Brom. They want West Brom to come out and it be an open game and kind of take a 2 or 3 goal lead. West Brom made it very hard for them. So the fans, you could tell after West Brom scored, it was very flat. And that's when Dean really earns his money, because you've got to get those players to find a different way of actually beating a very resilient side. And that's eventually what they did. West Brom got a little bit tired. Jack Grealish came into the game a little bit more. The substitutions that Dean made had a huge impact on the game. Conor Hourihane coming on, of course, and scoring as well. So I thought Dean, under the circumstances and the players as well, handled that very difficult situation. 1-0 down at home, being frustrated. They were really persistent and ground out a victory, which was vitally important going into that second game. Yeah,
you touched on Villa there, but I mean, for West Brom, how do you sum up their performance? Obviously, it was going so well for them up until the final 15 minutes.
It was a brilliant performance, I felt. I think in the regular season, we did see West Brom going away from home or at home. They played a really open game. They went kind of toe-to-toe with every team that they played. So if they'd done that against Aston Villa, an in-form Aston Villa, they might have won 2 or 3, or they might have been beaten 2 or 3 because of how well Villa were playing. So I think that the defensive side of it is as solid as I've seen them defensively this season. They played the back 5, a 4 in front, Dwight Gale up front as well. So the 5-4-1 frustrated Villa, but it wasn't just a kind of purely defensive display. Dwight Gale in that first half was absolutely sensational. Obviously, the mistake from Whelan, he pounces on. But I just thought they played incredibly well and exactly how they needed to approach that game. You're not going to play an open match against a dangerous Villa team. You frustrate them. The crowd got frustrated. They got that key opening goal. And that enabled them to get so far into the game. It was just maybe tiredness and that relentless nature of Villa's performance that eventually wore them down. But I think Jimmy Shan can be very proud of that performance. They won't play the same way at home, clearly. They need to win. So it's kind of horses for courses. One style of play away from home, and they will change that in the home game. But of course, Dwight Gale missing is a major blow for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've touched on it there, but for Villa, they are, like you said on the podcast before, that they are the form side going into the playoffs. How much of a further boost is it for them to see that Dwight Gale is banned for that second leg?
Well, it's a boost for Villa, of course, but also psychologically for the West Brom players. I know what it's like when I played in teams and we had an obvious star player. If he wasn't available, you do feel you're clearly less of a team than you were with that player in the side. It's like if Grealish was missing for the second game, Villa players will be thinking, well, without our talisman here as well. So it affects the team that Gale plays for, not just the team that's playing against. And Jimmy Shan, with Hal Robson-Kanu, of course, the suspension for him as well, he would have been the player naturally that would come into the side. So he's in essence lost two experienced goal scorers there. So he's going to have to rethink things, work out a way to maybe get Jay Rodriguez higher up the pitch. Is he going to play at front two? Has he got someone who can play alongside him? So again, it was unnecessary from Dwight Gale. It was avoidable. Should he have been taken off? Should he have handled himself differently, been an experienced player? It's too late now. And the scoreline is one thing for West Brom, but losing Dwight Gale for that second game is probably it's going to make it even harder for them, not just being behind, but without their talisman as well.
Yeah, you touched on it there and in your commentary as well, saying how unnecessary it was from Gale. Do you believe that this could really be the difference between the sides over the two legs, maybe?
Absolutely. I think you look at his West Brom's top scorer, but also how he played and the problems that he gave Aston Villa defensively, his positioning, his movement, his work rate on and off the ball. It was like a masterclass of playing that lone striker role, and Mings and Tuanzebe were not happy at all because of how Dwight Gale was playing. But if you look at the bookings, he had been warned about taking too much time to take the throw-ins. They were 1-0 up. All teams do this, but the referee warned him. It happened again, so he booked him. But once he'd been booked, that's when the bench have to maybe think about what to do here, because you're 2-1 down. You've got your top goal scorer there. He's on a yellow card. There was a challenge near the dugouts where I think the referee again had a little word with him. Maybe Jimmy Shan and the bench should have taken Dwight Gale off for his own good. It's not what West Brom fans would have wanted in that game, but you had to protect him for the second game. And then he, in my opinion, challenges for a ball that he's never going to get to. You're on a yellow card. The referee's watching out for you. I was really surprised. Again, the bench didn't think about taking him off, or Dwight Gale didn't approach it differently. And it's a massive loss, and it could be the biggest aspect of the game going into that second game that could really hamstring West Brom. Yeah,
going into that second game as well. James Shan mentioned it in his press conference there, but how much do they need the crowd behind them in that second leg, especially with Gale now being not available?
Absolutely, it's even more important, the crowd. We always knew it was going to be important. They have to act as that 12th man. It's a lot tighter, the Hawthorns, than Villa Park. It's a game under the lights. It's a totally different game. So I think the noise from the home fans is absolutely key. West Brom have got the advantage of playing at home in the second leg. They earned that during the course of the season. But on and off the pitch, they've really got to make that count. The West Brom fans have to drive the team on. They have to do it even more now without Dwight Gale if they are to get to Wembley.
OK, thanks, Andy, for now. Now moving on to the second semi-final. Leeds United taking on Derby County. Here's a reminder of what happened in that first leg.
Hernandez, Player of the Year and Players' Player of the Year again at Ellen Road this season. Here's Click. Dallas. These are the areas that they'll want to see him in. Leeds. It's fallen to Click, couldn't clear his feet. Dallas on his right, gets a good effort in, and that whistles narrowly wide of the Derby goal. Tomori committed himself, but didn't pay the price. Paulson wants to have a word with Tomori by the look of things.
I think it was the challenge earlier. Does win it, but I think he's very fortunate. It's a poor challenge. He's looking puzzled by it, but when you go in with 2 feet like that, you're asking for trouble.
Well, Lawrence has gone in with a strong challenge. We may see more of that. It's through the roof! It's taken 55 minutes, but Leeds United have found a way through. Kamar Roof has been the scourge of Derby this season, and he's at it again in the playoffs. Derby 0, Leeds 1. Roof finding acres of space. Derby at 6s and 7s, and Russ is to the rescue. Well, this is a critical passage, not just of this game, but of the whole semi-final tie. Better feel about Derby again as they come forward and find Wilson, who looks for Bogle. Big shout for a penalty there. Craig Poisson points to the spot. Well, this story has another chapter. Craig Poisson is coming over on this near side. Keogh's already been booked, needs to be careful.
I just wonder whether the linesman's looking at it and thinking, yes, Harrison has fouled Bogle, but possibly after Bogle had fouled Harrison. Interesting to see what's the outcome.
The free kick has been given the way of Leeds United. Derby County's lifeline has been snatched away from them.
And this will clear it up. The only real thing... you would think it would do. The only thing that the linesman has probably seen is an arm, a slight arm around Harrison there as he pulls him. But I don't think that's enough to overturn the decision.
Well, it's one back by Malone, and this could spell real trouble. It's Click. Still looking to bulldoze away through himself. And he just ran out of steam and momentum, and Tamori's involved there with Click. Well, he's absolutely furious. I don't know what's gone out there, whether Click's hit out or kicked out, but it's enough to see Tamori lose his cool. He's indicating that there may have been a headbutt in there by the Leeds United man. Again, the assistant's help is going to need to be enlisted. This time it's Ian Hussin. Yellow card for Click.
See, he puts his head towards him. This will give you the clear indication. It's when he goes down, it's when he gets up now on Tamori. You see the referee's not looking. I think he's very, very fortunate. The referee's not seeing it. The linesman obviously out of sight as well.
There is the final whistle. Leeds have come to Pride Park and got the win again. Leeds have come to Pride Park and Kamal Roof's got a goal again. He just loves playing against Derby County, and he has given the Yorkshiremen a hugely significant half-time lead in this playoff semi-final tie.
So yes, Kemar Roof's goal there, the decider, giving Leeds United a 1-0 win at Pride Park. Here's the reaction of Derby County manager Frank Lampard.
Frank, was that a frustrating afternoon?
Oh yeah, we obviously won a positive result, and 1-0 is a loss. It's half-time, we're still in the game. But yeah, we can play better than what we did, and you need to bring your best against Leeds, and I don't think we quite did.
What about the incident on 77 minutes? Jason Bogle goes down, the referee points to the penalty spot, then waits, consults the linesman, changes his mind.
Incredible decision. I think it was a borderline penalty. You can get them or you can't, but once the referee's given it, it would have to be absolutely clear that the linesman's seen something differently, and he couldn't have done. This is not VAR, it's the linesman who's probably further away than the referee. So as I say, it wasn't a clear penalty, but once given it is, and that's amazing.
Have you had a chance to speak to the official about why he changed his mind?
No, but we need to give time to speak to him, but I'll be interested to see why.
What about your approach now for the second leg? What do you need to do better on Wednesday that maybe you didn't do today?
We'd be better on the ball. I think the worry today for me was we're a young team. This is the first season in this league, competitive full season for a lot of our players, and this is a pressure game, and I don't think we're as good on the ball as we can be, so we need to be better on the ball on Wednesday.
Does it hearten you that you know you can be better?
Yeah, sure, and that's how we have to feel. We have to be positive. Now, this game's not over. We're disappointed because we know we could do better here today, but this is football. It doesn't go your way all the time. The playoffs are difficult games. We saw that in the game earlier. West Brom were winning. The game turns in an instant. We have to have belief. We definitely have to have belief.
They score the goal. They also have a second opportunity, a fine save from Keller Roos.
Yeah, Keller made a couple of good saves, I thought, to be fair. And so that's what you need Keller there for. You know, in difficult moments when you're not at your best, you need your goalkeeper, and he did well.
You were without Martin Waghorn today. How close was he to playing?
He trained yesterday and pulled up, so he was no good.
Any indication as maybe too early to say yet for
Wednesday?
Yeah,
too early. Yeah. We'll have to assess him over the next couple of days.
So what will you do now over the next few days before you turn your thoughts to, well, I imagine the thoughts turn immediately to the game?
No, they do, but the players need to rest. It's a taxing game, always is against Leeds. And then we get back in on Monday and we prepare. There won't be much physical work in the meantime, but we have to look at little bits that we can do better that we didn't do today, as well as we should. But be positive. This season is a season where we've got into the playoffs with a really late, strong run. We played some really good football in patches, and we have to be positive that we have an opportunity here still to go and do something special. We're one down, and we must remain positive. Everybody must remain positive. I thought at times in the game when it got difficult, there was a slightly negative feel. We know we have to be positive because these games are not easy. Playoffs are very difficult, and the lads are giving everything, and they will give everything on Wednesday.
And as we've seen, certainly in the last week, two-legged affairs, you can never say what's going to happen in that second.
You can't, but we shouldn't get carried away either way. Of course it can be turned around. If we go and play the same way we did, it's going to be very difficult. So that's just on us, how we perform on Wednesday.
Frank Lampard there speaking to Derby's media team. Now let's hear from Leeds United manager Marcelo Bielsa speaking to the media after the match.
Marcelo, Salim, congratulations. And considering the injury before the game and during the game, how pleased are you with that performance today?
Felicidades Marcelo, tomando en cuenta las lesiones que había antes del partido y las lesiones que hubo en el partido. Es importante la victoria de hoy. ¿Está contento con la victoria de hoy?
Creo que fue una victoria merecida.
I think it was a deserved win.
Salvo algunos minutos del comienzo del primer tiempo.
Apart from the first minute of the first half.
Y 10 o 15 minutos en el intermedios en el segundo tiempo, en la mitad del segundo tiempo.
And then 10 or 15 minutes in the middle of the second half.
Pudimos manejar la pelota.
We dominated the ball.
Defender bien.
We defended well.
Crear peligro.
We created danger.
Si bien podríamos haber las jugadas podrían haber terminado de una manera más riesgosa para el rival.
¿Las nuestras o las del rival?
No, las nuestras.
We had chances that could have been more dangerous.
Pero en líneas generales atacamos cuando los momentos que pudimos atacar, atacamos, y los momentos que hubo que defender, defendimos. En las dos cosas me parece que de manera correcta.
I think when we had to attack, we attacked well, and when we had to defend, we defended well.
How much do you think Jamie Shackleton helped you to dominate even this game once he came on?
Shackleton ayudó a dominar aún más en este partido.
Demostró carácter, personalidad.
He showed his character and personality.
Se acopló instantáneamente al partido.
He adapted immediately to the game.
Defendió bien y llegó y atacó bien también.
He defended well and he attacked well.
Y el equipo, la pérdida de un jugador como Forshaw, que estaba influyendo mucho en el partido.
And the fact that we lost Adam Forshaw, who had a big influence in the game, during the game.
Él fue un reemplazo efectivo.
And Shax was a very efficient substitute.
Marcelo, do you think you will have Forshaw and Janssen available for the second leg?
¿Piensa que podrá contar con Forshaw y Janssen para el segundo partido?
Forshaw creo que no.
For Adam Forshaw, I don't think so.
Y Janssen no podría pronunciarme.
And for Pontus Jansson, I couldn't tell.
Marcelo, what did Marcelo think about the late penalty incident with Derby?
¿Qué piensa del?
Was he worried that was going to ruin the day?
¿Qué piensa del penal? ¿Pensaba que eso iba a arruinar el día?
Nosotros estábamos muy lejos de la jugada.
We were very far away from the action.
Y con muchos jugadores en el medio.
And we had many players in front of us.
Y sinceramente no podría opinar sobre la acción.
And honestly, I couldn't give you my opinion on the action. I haven't seen it.
Adam, was this more than you expected before kickoff to come away with a 1-0 win, Marcelo?
¿Consiguió más de lo que esperaba antes del partido con una victoria o no?
No. En cada partido intentamos ganarlo.
No, because in every game we try to win.
Y la victoria me pareció justa.
And I think it was a fair win.
Thank you. Phil?
Sorry. How confident do you feel now then, Marcelo, with a 1-goal lead going into the second leg? How strong an advantage is that?
¿Siente confianza con un gol de diferencia antes de cara a jugar el próximo partido? Y si es una ventaja significativa.
Es una ventaja, pero no decisiva.
It's an advantage, but it's not a decisive advantage.
Habiendo 90 minutos por jugar,
we still have 90 minutes to play.
Considerar que un gol de diferencia no es una ventaja decisiva.
When we just have a difference of 1 goal, it's not a decisive advantage.
Aparte, bueno, si tomamos como referencia lo que sucedió en la Champions, no deberíamos opinar sobre este tema.
And if we take as a reference what happened in the last Champions League games, we shouldn't draw conclusions about it.
You said that Ipswich, you thought that Kemar Roofe would be at his peak today. How pleased were you to see him score, and how important do you think his performance was?
Después del partido contra Ipswich, usted dijo que pensaba que Roofe iba a estar cerca de su mejor nivel el día de hoy. ¿Qué piensa de su rendimiento y qué piensa de cómo jugó?
Y se esforzó muchísimo.
Y Kemar Roofe made many efforts.
Estuvo en constante movimiento.
He moved all the time. He made many movements.
Convirtió un gol que para un centroatacante es algo muy importante.
He scored a goal, and this is something very important for number 9.
Son todos factores favorables para evaluar su presencia en el partido de hoy.
So all these are positive factors to evaluate his performance.
Thank you.
Marcelo, Jack Harrison hasn't always had a lot of praise this season, but that assist will go down. It'll be remembered by a lot of people for a very, very long time. You played very well today, do you think?
Harrison no recibió muchas alabanzas esta temporada, pero el pase final que hizo va a ser recordado durante mucho tiempo y jugó bastante bien hoy. ¿Qué piensa usted?
Me parece que la habilitación fue de mucha calidad.
I think that Jack's pass was very, very good.
Fue decisiva en el partido.
It was decisive in this game.
Harrison venía jugando este partido bien.
Jack has made a good performance today, Jack Harrison.
Y esa acción consolidó la evaluación consolidó su rendimiento.
And this action, his pass, strengthens his performance.
Estuvo muy generoso también.
He was very generous.
Se esforzó mucho.
He made many efforts.
Como todo el equipo.
Like all the team.
Pero bueno, él terminó jugando algunos minutos de centroatacante.
He finished the game playing as a number 9.
Y también tuvo una presencia física que nos ayudó.
And he had a physical presence that helped us.
How pleased were you with the reaction and attitude of the players? Because when teams go into the playoffs, having missed out on automatic promotion, they sometimes are in a bit of a flat frame of mind, but they come out well, didn't they?
Que está contento de la reacción del equipo, porque en general cuando los equipos por poco no logran ascender directamente, empiezan a jugar los playoffs con un nivel anímico bajo, pero su equipo jugó con una mentalidad fuerte.
Nosotros sufrimos por no haber terminado en los puestos de ascenso directo.
It was painful for us not to be automatically promoted.
Pero tomamos esto como una oportunidad muy importante.
But we took the playoffs as a very important opportunity.
Yo creo que debemos valorar la alternativa de tener una segunda opción.
I think we should value the opportunity of having a new possibility.
Any more? Just one? It's 3 out of 3 wins against Derby now this season. Does that give you confidence for the second leg as well?
De los 3 partidos que jugó Leeds contra Derby, ganó las 3 veces. ¿Eso le da confianza antes del último partido?
Cada partido es una situación nueva.
Every game is a new situation.
No pienso que los 3 partidos que jugamos garanticen algo en relación al cuarto.
I don't think that the 3 games we played guarantee anything regarding the next game.
Yeah, Don, looking at Leeds and Derby now, I mean, Frank Lampard clearly unhappy with the decision to reverse the decision to give his side a penalty. How important is it that his side don't dwell on that, though, into the second leg?
Yeah, and I think that will be a clear and obvious message that he will drum into the players. Dwelling on the past, it doesn't get you anywhere. It's history, isn't it? There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So, they will be fully focused on improving their performance level, because really, for them, you heard in Frank's interview, he actually painted the picture. He painted exactly the same picture that I saw, actually, and that Marcelo Bielsa saw. And it's actually very rare that you get 2 managers agreeing on how a game has gone. Obviously, they'll probably have different opinions on the reversing of that penalty decision. But no, I think he'll just be focusing on getting more out of his team, because they are so much better than what they were able to show, and for the reasons that Frank alluded to. They're a young team. I thought that naivety showed, particularly in the last 15-20 minutes, where they lost their shape a little bit, chasing an equalising goal, and Leeds could quite easily have exposed that. So they'll be looking at the game from Saturday, and I'm sure they'll be looking at the 2 previous games and working out how they can perform to better levels, because they haven't performed as well as they can in any of the 3 games so far that they've met Leeds United.
Yeah, Andy, looking at Leeds, how impressive is it that despite the wretched end of the season that they've had, they've now stepped up in this first leg, a very solid away performance here?
I was really impressed with Leeds. Of course, they've been on that poor run in terms of results. Their performances actually haven't been that bad. It's not as if it was all doom and gloom and Leeds had completely imploded. But again, to get back on track, it really is a sign of Bielsa's coaching methods, his man management, to draw that performance out of those players. The players show resilience, they show confidence. They look like the Leeds that we've seen all season long. So they kind of recovered from poor results. They show real quality. That's what we expect to see from Leeds. They control the ball, they control the game, they show real quality. Brilliant goal that they scored. Kemar Roof's movement off the ball and the pass from Harrison was superb. They could have been 2 or 3 up, actually, in all truth. They played that well. They nullified what is a really lively Derby side, a passionate home crowd. It's control. That is the word that I'd associate with that performance from Leeds United. Pure control of a game, a playoff semi-final away from home. That is not easy. But again, a sign of how tough it is going to be for Derby to get past them. And if Leeds do get to the final, it's going to be tough for either Villa or West Brom to beat them.
Yeah, Don, you've touched on it before to say that the return of Kemar Roof could well boost Leeds' chances going into the playoffs. He proved that in this game, didn't he? Against a team that obviously he knows well and plays against them well.
Well, absolutely, and I think it's a shame for Leeds United that they lost him for such an extended period of time. You will never know whether or not they would have been able to make an even better fifth, or even seal an automatic promotion place, such has been his form pre the injury. And he highlighted on Saturday exactly what they've missed during the course of his time when he was unavailable. So I'm sure that everybody connected with Leeds will be absolutely thrilled to have him back. The fact that he scored a fantastic goal, it was a good finish. And he made it look easier than it actually was. That will boost him. That will give him confidence going into the return leg. So, Derby County are going to have to make provision for him. They are going to have to find a way of nullifying his effectiveness, and that's easier said than done.
Yeah, Andy, obviously it's been well publicised. There is a lot of previous between these two teams this season, as well as the historic rivalry. Really set up for a fascinating second leg now, isn't it?
I think there's so many reasons that we're set for a truly extraordinary night at Ellen Road. I'm not actually working the game, but I have to be there, so I'm going to watch it. I just think it will be extraordinary, the way the Leeds fans get behind their team all season long, and the lights. It's so much more atmospheric as well. And Derby, they're a young side, and the atmosphere will be absolutely crackling. And I think it'll be so different from that first leg being played at night, away from home. Can these Derby youngsters really thrive in what will be a really hostile atmosphere? We will learn a lot about these Derby players, about their kind of physical and mental strength. It's going to take an awful lot for Derby to get past Leeds. We saw from that first leg the control that Leeds can apply home or away. It's going to be a huge effort if Derby are to get past Leeds. And if they were to do it and get to Wembley, you have to fancy them to get to the Premier League. But this is, in essence, this is their cup final now.
Yeah, Don, Andy's touched on it there, but how do Derby approach this game now at Ellen Road? A tough ask for them, isn't it, to overturn that first leg defeat?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not beat about the bush here. They need a season's best performance. That's all that will do it for them. They have to find a way of nullifying Leeds. They have to find a way of coping with Leeds United's press. They have to find a way of coping with Leeds United's crowd, who will be vocal and loud and in their faces. So there are so many hurdles for them to overcome. As Andy's rightly said, if they do actually manage to do it, you would have to think that coming through that they would have an unbelievable chance of getting to the Premier League. But the slightly concerning thing so far is that they've played Leeds United 3 times and they haven't yet found the formula to impose themselves, either in very, very small periods of time, and the fact that they've actually lost at home. There's strength for me that I felt that they really needed to take something to Ellen Road. They've been really strong at Pride Park. Their away form has been a little bit patchy, and I think this is what they will focus on. Performances away at the Hawthorns, for instance, a performance away at the Riverside, where they totally dominated 2 very, very good teams and 2 difficult opponents. I think that's what they're going to have to focus on in terms of positivity, positive energy, and going to Ellen Road and needing a season's best performance.
Yeah, Andy, Don said it there that Derby necessarily need a season's best performance to beat Leeds at Ellen Road. But how important is it that Leeds don't get ahead of themselves despite the advantage that they have?
Well, complacency is the biggest enemy for Leeds and Aston Villa as well. It's even more so for Leeds because they're 1-0 up and they're at home. But it's Bielsa. This is why Bielsa's key. The intensity that he coaches with, the intensity of his preparation. I just don't see the Leeds players falling into that complacency trap. They won't be allowed to. They've been schooled too well all season long. They only play one way. That's full on, really intense with and without the ball. I don't see any change in that on Wednesday, regardless of what the scoreline is going into the game. And it's sensible as well. You've got to continue playing the way that got you into this position. It's even more important that you concentrate on doing that in a playoff semi-final second leg, especially when you're at home. But I see that, again, the way that Leeds play, the crowd behind them, I don't feel they're going to feel amongst themselves that this job is done, and Bielsa certainly won't allow them to feel that way. So this is why it's going to be so tough for Derby. Can they improve on their performance from the first leg? And will there be a drop-off? And I just don't see it.
So now moving on to the Sky Bet League 1 playoff semi-finals. Firstly, let's take a look back at Sunderland against Portsmouth.
Max Power took a heavy touch and Curtis moves it away from him. Ollie Hawkins doesn't appeal for a foul. It's Curtis. Now he's appealing.
He takes a little risk here because it definitely leans in just there. It's a little thing.
Oviedo with the cross. O'Nien was coming in. This now is Catamol. O'Nien again. Power
his cross. Cooch is waiting, and behind him was Wyke.
Well, they're asking the question of the referee. There's a couple of little come-ins together. George Honeyman is the one that went and asked the question. Ends up at Charlie Wyke's feet. Very difficult opportunity. Just cannot keep that down under pressure from Burgess.
Lyndon Gooch looking to cause problems. Three in the middle. Gooch with the cross. Honeyman! That's a brilliant save from McGillivray. Unbelievable reactions.
George Honeyman perhaps shouldn't be giving McGillivray any chance here. It's point blank. Can he head it down? I mean, he makes himself big and he gets the benefit of a bit of good fortune.
Oviedo. Matlock perfectly placed. Fight back in by Maguire! A wave of sound and emotion sweeps around the Stadium of Light. Sunderland score a goal, which could edge them closer to their goal. They're on the march. Walks and Honeyman have just collided off the ball. They're back on their feet now. Portsmouth striding forward here. Evans caught by Ozturk, was he? Just outside the box. Ozturk protesting his innocence. And Alim Ozturk cannot quite believe that decision's gone against him.
Well, I can't believe that. I've just been praising Andy Woolmer. My goodness me. For me, this is 100% not a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
Gareth Evans! Almost executed to perfection. And that would have been salt in the wounds for Sunderland.
Well, unless my eyes deceive me, I think this takes a little nick off the wall, you know. Am I right? Does it flick off Dunn's head?
Evans with the corner. Burgess has got free. Clark trying to react. And Bogle. Chaos. And the result is another corner.
Great ball in, it's well attacked, they're a big team, and then it's all about luck. Will it fall for you?
Chris Maguire fancying his chances again. And he wasn't far away.
Well, he's hit the post. Strikes the outside of the post.
The pressure is on those men in the Sunderland shirts to take this club back into the Championship. And tonight, the players have embraced it. Chris Maguire, who provides the X-Factor, hitting the right notes again with a beautifully executed finish after coming on from the bench. He stepped up and scored, and there's a little bit of afters there. Chris Maguire and Christian Burgess, Charlie Wyke getting involved as well. This will carry on. This is what we saw at the end of the league game 2 weeks ago, when it all bubbled up, and it's happened again. Sunderland will take a 1-goal lead to Fratton Park on Thursday. This is not over.
Yes, certainly isn't over. Here's the reaction from Sunderland manager Jack Ross.
Okay, half-time, 1-0. You've certainly taken that, especially with 10 men.
Yeah, I think the first leg of these ties is usually a little bit more tentative and tense, and I think the first 45 minutes in particular showed that. So when you go into the game knowing it'll probably be like that, I think any advantage to take to the away leg is good. It's a slender one, it'll be a difficult game there, we know that, but it's nice to go there with the lead.
What's your reading of Alim's sending off?
I usually try and trust my gut reaction at the time, and my question to the fourth official was, I didn't think he was. It was an obvious goal scoring opportunity. I thought his touch was taking him away from goal, and having watched it again, I would still be the same opinion. So we'll appeal it on that basis. Whether it's a foul or not, it becomes irrelevant. It's more about the opportunity, and I think the touch was heading to the side of the penalty box. So, but we'll see how that. We'll see what the outcome of that is at the beginning of the week.
And the big thing from your point of view, though, was you saw the game out. You kept a clean sheet. You've got the advantage, if you like.
Yeah, because I think I said first half I thought we were a little bit passive in our play, a little bit tentative. In second half I thought we were a little better, and obviously we scored during a good period for us, and we looked like we would create more opportunities. Can't say for certain, but we looked like we were in a good place. But then the sending off was so long in the game to go obviously means that you have to be able to be strong enough to see the game out, and I thought our game management and the resilience during that period was good.
Your plans disrupted obviously in the build-up with Aidan McGeady not being able to start.
Yeah, Aidan trained yesterday on the back of the little bit extended rest we've given him, but we know he's got a problem that needs an extended or prolonged rest period over the summer, and he's played recently with Aidan injection, and for whatever reason it just didn't have the same effect tonight. So I've praised him so often for his commitment, and again tonight he wanted to even go and warm up and try it, but we just got to the stage where it wasn't going to work, and I've got a duty of care to him as well. So it was a late change for us, but our preparations, we prepared during the week. All the team players know the team on Thursday. London's heavily involved in that preparation. So in terms of bringing somebody else in that knows the system and knows how we want to play the game, it was fine, and I thought London did well.
Of course, there's no getting carried away. There's still a big game now at Portsmouth, but before this game kicked off, if you were offered a 1-0 win, the key for you was not to lose here, to take something from the game.
Yeah, I know there's a lot made of when you play the first leg, where you play the second leg, and I think that the one thing from your home leg that you want to try and do is take a lead, and we've managed to do that. And I think we're all you'd like it to be more comfortable, but then as we've seen during the past week, it might not make a jolly difference. The fact we're going with a lead of sorts is encouraging for us, because we know what we're going to face on Thursday. But it'll be good. Tonight, the second half, I thought the game, the atmosphere was good, and we're going to face that again on Thursday night.
Just to mention the crowd, there's a lot of talk this week that it wasn't going to be 40,000, and a lot of people down about that, but actually the 26,000 plus probably arguably could have made more noise than when you get 40 in here.
Yeah, they were great in the second half in particular. They responded, I think, to our performance second half. I've said all along that there has to be a catalyst from us to give them something to be excited about. In the second half we did that in particular, and then the support we provided was terrific, and we all know that when it's like that in this stadium, it makes a heck of a noise, and it did that. And so I'm delighted that this was our last home game, and I'm delighted that we managed to finish in that manner. I think it was fitting in terms of winning the game, fitting in terms of the character the players have had to show, because I think they've done that a lot in this stadium this season.
It's always nice when you make a substitution and he goes and scores.
Yeah, look, it's football management. You said it often enough now. In my job, you get judged instantly and constantly, and usually with the benefit of hindsight, and you get praised. Sometimes you get criticised a lot. That's just the nature of the beast. So when Chris comes on the pitch, it is because he has the ability to produce moments like that. We know that. So it was it worked for us. There's times it doesn't, but it worked for us tonight.
And it's 1-0 at half time, but to be fair, on another night you could have actually won it by a lot more.
Yeah, I thought we had. I know obviously they hit Woodwork from the free kick, but I thought overall we had the better opportunities. I think it's an incredible save from Craig McGilvray that denies George, obviously Chris in the effort after that, and I thought we were good second half, but we would have taken a lead of sorts. I think when you see how the game panned out, we've been down to 10 men for turned out probably 25 minutes. I think we would certainly taken them.
And it did get a bit spiky at times.
Yeah, you expect that within these games. There's a lot at stake, and I would imagine it'll be even more so on Thursday evening, and that's when you're going to need a bit of composure about your play as well, and a bit of calmness. And we've been through a lot of big games this season, and we'll need that experience on Thursday evening.
Sunderland manager Jack Ross speaking there. Now let's hear from Portsmouth manager Kenny Jackett.
Not the evening you would have liked. How do you sum it up? What perhaps went wrong this evening?
We're 1-0 down at half time, and with the second leg to come at Fratton Park, certainly don't think that's a disaster. And in terms of being able to come back, it's evenly balanced now, definitely. And for us, with the home advantage, we have to make it pay on Thursday and look forward to it. We are capable. In terms of today's game, I thought first half we were the stronger side. We just couldn't get the shots off or it right in the wide area. The delivery into the box wasn't necessarily right. We come out of good areas and went back into midfield, and couldn't then ultimately work our way back into what we think is the goal scoring area. So that was part of it, but up to half time anyway. Pretty solid as the away side, definitely in the first leg. They had a 15-minute period, I thought, where they were on top then the second half, going into their end, which was always going to happen. In that period anyway, Maguire scored a terrific goal, which my goalkeeper had no chance. And then at 11 v 10, although we had pressure and we had the ball again, when we got up and around their box, we couldn't find the shots. Probably two best efforts were both from Gareth Evans there, and the closest one was the one that hit the bar from the free kick.
What was your view of the red card?
Yeah, I've just looked at it again. I thought that the referee had no choice but to send him off. Gareth was going through. He would have got to the ball before the goalkeeper. He would have been at an angle, definitely, but whether then at that angle he could have gone round him or slotted it, across his body, would have been a tough angle, but even so, there definitely would have been an opportunity there. He would have got there first, albeit, slightly wide. But yeah, it was a denial of a player going through into a 1v1 situation with the goalkeeper, and therefore, in my opinion, the referee had little choice other than to send him off.
Any frustrations you couldn't take more advantage of the 10 men?
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, the whole night was like that, where we had some good situations and good control for the most of it, but couldn't really get our shots off. Couldn't get away from people. Couldn't really get a service out to low. And as I said, ultimately then when we got up into the final third, couldn't find the goals, which is unlike us, because obviously, we've done well in that department so far this season. But having said that, it's half time, we're 1-0 down, and we have the home leg to come. It will be a great occasion on Thursday night against Sunderland at Fratton Park, and we have to look forward to it.
What's the situation with Brett Pitman and Lee Brown?
Yeah, Pitman has a hamstring, and Brown an Achilles, Houndstrup, knee ligaments. Certainly Houndstrup will be out for probably 8 weeks, I think. Pitman and Brown have a chance for next Thursday.
A decent chance, if possible, to set
Yeah,
the stage?
we hope so. We haven't ruled them out yet, definitely. We will obviously, know a bit more on Tuesday and Wednesday, but as it stands at the moment, they're both targeting next Thursday.
What do you need to do on Thursday better than you have done tonight to go through?
Yeah, I mean, we've played Sunderland 4 times, we've won 2, lost 1 tonight, and drawn 1, so we have the 5th game to come, and we want to win it, and we need to win it, and I think we're very capable of winning it.
Yeah, Don, you were at the game at the Stadium of Light between Sunderland and Portsmouth. A fiery end to the match. It was a real intense encounter, this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as we probably all expected, really, there wasn't an awful lot to separate them. When you analyse the games that they played prior to the other evening, I know Portsmouth won 3-1 down at Fratton Park earlier in the season, but I don't think it was as comfortable as the scoreline suggests. And then the other 2 games, obviously, we know the Second Trade Trophy final, where they actually drew, obviously despite Portsmouth winning on penalties. And the most recent one, and I think that's where the feistiness came from, really. There was a bit of feistiness at the end of the most recent game, which was just a couple of weeks ago at the Stadium of Light, where they drew 1-1, and it certainly seemed to continue into the game and throughout the game, and particularly towards the back end of the game, where players were struggling, shall we say, to keep their discipline. And I think we should expect more of the same on Thursday evening.
I mean, you've touched on it there again, but both sides know each other so well, having played each other 4 times this season. Does that make it difficult for them to break each other down? Obviously, it's just that special goal from Maguire that separates the sides.
Yeah, and really, for me, after the opening sort of 20 minutes or 25 minutes, I kind of felt it was either going to be a set piece or a moment of magic, and it was the latter. And again, down at Fratton Park, you would expect it to be something similar, really, because they are so evenly matched. And, obviously, every time you play a team, you learn about that team, and you learn even more about their strengths and possibly more about their weaknesses. But there aren't too many weaknesses in either of these teams, so it's more a question of how do you nullify their strengths. And what we saw the other evening was an example of 2 teams that know each other unbelievably well, that are very, very evenly matched, that have learned how to nullify each other's strengths. And so can either of the managers come up with something slightly different to be to surprise the opposition and be a key factor in winning the tie? I'm not so sure, quite frankly. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be tight. But the longer and longer the game goes on, the more and more pressure there will be. The more edginess will come into it. If Sunderland still have a lead, obviously you can expect Portsmouth to throw the kitchen sink at them. But in doing that might just leave themselves a little bit vulnerable to a counter-attack. So, it is very, very tight. And if you'd have probably asked both managers pre-kick-off in the first leg, if they'd accepted that 1-0 scoreline, I think they probably both would have said, it's not the perfect scoreline, but yeah, we'll take it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and how important, though, will it be for Sunderland to get that win over Portsmouth in the first leg, which, of course, they haven't had until now this season?
Yeah, it wasn't just about them beating Portsmouth for me. I think they had to learn how to win again. It had been 4 games prior where they'd gone, games that they were probably expected to win, certainly, 1 or 2 of them anyway. And they came up short. And that was very, very disappointing because ultimately those last 4 games cost them a genuine opportunity at an automatic place. So, they had to get over the disappointment of that. And so it was more than just beating Portsmouth for me the other night. It was getting that winning feeling back in the football club, that confidence that comes with winning football matches back into the players. So it was absolutely huge for Sunderland. And whether they can take advantage of that remains to be seen on Thursday. Yeah,
you said in commentary as well that you didn't believe it was a red card on Ozturk when Gareth Evans went through there. Do you stand by that now? And how much does that decision spice things up, like we've touched on earlier, for that second leg?
Well, I have to say, still, the last couple of days, that there had literally been a penalty or a red card in every single playoff first leg at all through the levels. And referees have had it tough, I do have to say. And I was literally seconds before the award of that penalty praising the referee and saying what a fantastic game. I thought he'd handled it and had a brilliant game. And then he made a decision that I felt, I heard actually Jack Ross allude to the fact that your natural instinct, your initial impression, and he's right, often your initial impression is the one that turns out to be right. My initial impression is that it wasn't a red card and that it was a yellow card. And my only reason, and I know Kenny Jackett, listening to his interviews after the game, believed it was a red card, and that's the subjective nature of these decisions. But Gareth Evans got to the ball first. He knew the challenge was coming in. He prodded the ball. It was going away from goal. He's a right-footed player. It was on his left side. Now, I'm not expecting the referee to take that into account. But for me, for him to score from where that ball was going to finish, it was going to take something unbelievable special. And if it's going to be unbelievably special, for me, it's not a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity. And I just felt that the referee decided way too quick. He didn't give himself any thinking time. He pulled that red card out of his pocket instantaneously. And I just felt that it was a situation where I don't think too many people would have argued had he shown Ozturk a yellow card rather than a red card. So for me, I think the referee got it wrong, albeit I will praise the rest of his performance.
Yeah, because obviously it was such a big sort of game, such a tense atmosphere. But for Kenny Jackett, he says it's evenly balanced for the second leg now. Do you believe home advantage for them is a leveller? They beat Sunderland 3-1 at Fratton Park in December.
Well, when you're a big club, and both of these are in the division that they found themselves this season, they are massive clubs. So sometimes playing at home isn't always necessarily a massive advantage. And, when you analyse Portsmouth, they've actually taken more points away from home, a couple more points, which is really, really unusual. Albeit they've been decent at home. But if you look at the best 3 teams in the league, they were all sort of 53 and 55. That's Luton, Charlton and Barnsley in terms of their home records. Portsmouth were 10 points less than that. So there is an argument to be said that when you've got a vocal crowd, a big crowd behind you, that are getting behind you, that are urging you, that, it's not always easy because sometimes you can get away from the game plan that the manager has set out for you. And I think that has been a problem at Fratton Park for Portsmouth on occasion. I'm not saying all the time, but what they are going to get is they're going to get a big crowd. They know what they've got to do. They've got to beat Sunderland again. They know that they've done that in the past. And I thought Kenny Jackett's interview was absolutely spot on in terms of he was disappointed with his team's end product. I actually thought they started the game better than Sunderland for the first 20 minutes or so. They looked more composed. They looked as if they were handling the occasion better than the home players. So, you know, what Kenny was saying was their final delivery, the cross, the shot, the pass, the finish. That's what was missing. And it was never really right most of the evening. And that is something, obviously, if they are going to overturn this deficit, that is something that is going to have to be put right on Thursday evening.
Yeah, and of course, like you've touched on there, it should be an electric atmosphere at Fratton Park, with it being a second leg as well, making it even bigger in terms of the playoffs. Portsmouth really do have to go for it, though, don't they?
Well, they have to go for it with balance, because if you get the balance right in the second leg when you're chasing a lead, the game can be over before you've even started, really. You can give yourself, at the moment, they've got a small slope to climb, really, with the ability that they have. But if they concede because they haven't got the balance right between attacking and defending, because they're taking chances earlier on in the game, and Sunderland get the first goal, then they give themselves a mountain to climb. So it is all about being on the front foot, putting the away team under pressure, but doing it in a controlled manner and not leaving yourself exposed defensively to a counter-attack or something like that. So, you know, and I'm sure that is a message that Kenny Jackett will drum into his players. I mean, Kenny Jackett's had 3 promotions and he knows this league like the back of his hand. And I'm pretty sure there's not an awful lot about Sunderland that he doesn't know. So he'll have his team prepared, but I'm pretty sure part of the message will be keep your discipline and let's give a balanced performance. And he'll believe that will be enough to get the job done.
Yes, and finally moving on to the other clash in the Sky Bet League One playoffs, Charlton against Doncaster. Here's a reminder of what happened in the first leg at the Keepmoat Stadium.
Away by Bauer, and it still needs some clearing for Charlton. Here's Coppinger. Coppinger's shot! Parker! Well, it all looks set up for that to nestle in the back of the net. Coppinger! Draws an excellent save at full stretch from Dylan Phillips. That's an excellent hit that's rattled the crossbar. Oh, he struck that absolutely beautifully.
That's a wonderful effort from Andrew. You think he's going to cross the ball into the box, but he's having none of that. He goes for the strike.
But here's Albie Morgan now for Charlton. Just hanging it up there. Kept alive by Cullen. And smuggled in. The last touch from Taylor. Not the most spectacular one he's scored by season by any stretch of the imagination, but it might just be one of the most important. Lyle Taylor, Charlton's Player of the Year. But here's Morgan. Taylor. Aribo. Charlton have a second. They've really got a chase for it now, the Addicts. 2 quick-fire goals, and they're seizing control of this playoff.
No, they weren't happy with one.
They've got Morgan looking for a third, and it's a fingertip save to deny Charlton that.
Yeah, it's a really good save.
Hasn't been done well. Whiteman couldn't keep hold of it, and Taylor looking to punish them here. Cullen taking the header on. And it forced a full stretch save there from Morosi. Oh, Taylor! Moments away from surely sealing the deal for Charlton. Wilkes. Oh, well, they found a goal. 4 minutes left to go. Matty Blair was the man who rose and found a way through, and suddenly the complexion changes. Fascinatingly poised. After the first leg here at the Keepmoat Stadium, Charlton for the most part were in complete control, exactly where they wanted to be after two quick-fire first-half goals. 1 minute and 57 seconds between that from Taylor and that from Aribo that put the Addicts in the driving seat. Looked like they'd see the job through at just about 5 minutes from time. Doncaster finally find a way through, and that means that where before there was little, now there is a lot more hope for Doncaster as they go to South London.
So Charlton Athletic on that amazing run, of course, winning again, this time at the Keepmoat Stadium in the first leg. Here's the views of manager Lee Bowyer.
A game that you managed to win, but it's still finally poised because of that last goal from Doncaster.
Yeah, a bit disappointed to concede so late on. Bit of fortune went their way, just looped, and it was undefendable really for Ben on the far post. But we've got a 1-goal lead going back to the Valley. We haven't been beaten there since the turn of the year, so it's going to be tough for Doncaster, but we realised that it's not another 90 minutes, anything can happen. We've witnessed that more than ever this week that's just gone by, how crazy football can be, and it's not over until it's over. So again, we'll respect them and we'll try and win the game.
You had to withstand some home pressure for the first 20 minutes or so, which you did fairly comfortably, and then 2 goals in 2 minutes. You'd hope to not put the tie to bed, but at least make it comfortable.
Yeah, because I think out of possession we were solid. I think we limited them to chances, and then knowing the people that we've got in the team, we're always going to create chances, and we've got Lowell that scores goals. You've got Aribo with his trickery and obviously scores goals. So I knew that we would create, and it's just whether we would take the chances on the day, and thankfully we did. So, but they're still in it. They're still in with a shout, obviously. But now, can't wait for Friday.
Doncaster don't lose it here very often, so to come away with any sort of victory in what is basically the first half of this playoff encounter must be pleasing.
Yeah, I'm over the moon because I know when we played here not so long ago that we left with 1-1 draw, and you could say we was a bit fortunate that day. That's why I changed the shape. You have to respect who you're playing against, and I watched the game when we played them here and realised what they was doing, and they was hitting us on the break, and we weren't good our shape was wrong. When we was attacking, we was at our worst own enemy at times. So I had to put that right today, and I thought the shape worked perfectly.
2-0 lead going into the second half. Was it always your intention just to hold that, or were you looking for more goals?
I was looking for more goals, but obviously then Josh Parker got cramp, and we ain't got another striker to put on. Otherwise I'd have just swapped him like for like with another striker, because obviously once we went down to the one striker, we invited a bit more pressure, but unfortunately we don't have another striker on the bench, so that's out of our hands. But I thought, even then, I thought we might hit him on a break, and we did a couple of times, and I think Josh Cullen had a header, keeper pushed it onto the post, so we still created chances in the second half, and but we just didn't take them.
You mentioned Josh Parker getting cramp, and that's an indication of the shift he put in up top, and a bit unlucky not to score a couple of times.
Yeah, his work rate was unreal. I thought he scored with the header in the first half, but no, I thought he done very well. Hold up play was good, 1 headers, fought for every ball, put his body on the line, and that's what I expect from all the players.
I mean, it is finally poised in this playoff tie, but you'd have taken a 2-1 lead going back to the Valley?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anything. anything without losing, because you just want to have that momentum and that belief that you don't lose games. And we're in a good place. I keep saying it, we're in a good place at the moment as a squad, and we're in that habit of winning games, and that's a great habit to be in.
You're likely to approach the second game differently to the game up here, and is Josh Parker going to be okay for that game?
Yeah, Josh Parker will be okay. He's got cramp. I don't know. I'll have a look. We'll be at home, and I think we'll probably have more possession. It's probably the only disappointing thing from today's second half. We didn't pass it as well as what I thought we should have done. But maybe a bit of nerves, you know. We've got a young side and a lot of young players out there, but no, I thought we was good.
Going into this game, was it a question of trying to quell those nerves, trying to make this game just any other game?
No, it's just trying to make it normal. At the end of the day, it's a game of football and a great occasion. So go and enjoy it, you know. That's if you can't enjoy times like this, then you're in the wrong game.
They were just short of 4,000 addicts up at the far end. You're going to have that multiplied by almost 5 going back to the Valley. They made some noise. It's going to be a bit epic on Friday, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm grateful again, travelling all this way and early kick-off. They must have left at the crack of dawn this morning. So, I'm grateful to them. I said, I want them to play a big part with us and come on this journey, and they're definitely doing that. So I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of the players. I think what we're doing at the moment is good, but that's not finished yet. You know, we've still got to go finish it off at home and then see what happens.
Lee Bowyer speaking there now. Time to hear from Doncaster Rovers manager Grant McCann.
Grant, first of all then, how crucial could Matty Blair's late goal be then in this tie?
Well, it keeps us firmly in it. It certainly does. I thought second half we were outstanding. You know, we camped in their half, we passed, we probed. Maybe lacked the cutting edge at times, but bled our game. Plus we should have had a couple more goals, but we got into good areas without really having that cutting edge second half, but right in the tie.
After the first half, a mad 2 minutes in which you went 2-0 down, but prior to that, some big chances for Doncaster Rovers.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 sloppy goals for us to concede. You know, boys were disappointed at half time. We had to pick them up a bit better after the game, felt a bit better about themselves, because I think we showed in the second half what we're about. I think first half we lacked a bit of energy, we lacked a bit of bite, spark. Our transitions weren't good enough. We lost the ball and we didn't react quick enough to win it back. We gave them a foothold in the game. Second half we were everywhere, and we were much better.
Can you put your finger on why then there was that slow start?
Maybe the system had an effect on it, so I take responsibility for that. But like I said to the group, it doesn't matter if we play 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. The philosophy never changes at this club. We're a front foot team, as long as I'm the manager anyway. We're front foot, we're on the front foot, we want to get against teams and press, and when we lose the ball we react well. We did it much better second half.
So again, almost to come full circle, that Blair goal was evidence of all of those things kind of coming together, wasn't it? The greater endeavour, the willingness to stay in the tie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm pleased for Matty. It was a good header at the back post, it really was, and Malik's done well for the cross. But like I say, we're right in this tie now, and we know what we've got to do at the Valley.
And from what you've seen from Charlton today, is it a daunting prospect down there? They've got a fabulous home record.
I don't think any game in this league's a daunting prospect. I said to you before, especially in a playoff game. Do you know, it's we are where we are. We both deserve to be at this stage. It's half time in the tie. Charlton are 2-1 up, and we know what we've got to do. So it's going to be a good game.
Interestingly, Lee Bowyer was saying something similar. He's obviously seen his side have a good workout today. He doesn't think that they're already at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lee's a genuine bloke. He's not going to think like that. You know, he's a very good manager and he's got a very good team. But we've got a very good team, so I can understand why he said that.
James Coppinger was brought off at half time. Was that just part of the rethink, or is there something behind that?
Just a tactical decision, really. I felt as if we needed to get our midfield players higher up the pitch and put a bit more pressure on them. And I think it worked for us, definitely in the second half in terms of the shape change.
Is there any complaints about the first goal? The players seem to be appealing from the sky.
We've seen it. I think it's taken a deflection off Butts and the Butler. Referee's done well to spot that, to be honest, because it came in very, very quickly. Maybe the linesman was the one that spotted it. So, no complaints.
Do you think the offside law has become a bit more complicated, this first phase, second phase?
It is, yeah, it is. It is difficult to understand at times. You know, I've seen it on playback on the big screen. They looked offside. But you know, speaking to the analyst there, he's adamant that he's on. What really annoyed me about it is that we didn't react quick enough. You know, he receives it in that area and we just watched. You know, for him to cross the ball across, and we got done by it.
You think we were still reeling from that a little bit when the second goal went in?
Possibly, but we got caught in a tactical goal really. You know, we had worked on both full-backs going, making sure one of them stay in because we know Charlton leave two up when we're attacking, and we possibly got caught with Danny and Matty high up the pitch for the second goal, and that was probably the big factor for that.
But I suppose it changes how you would approach the game down there on Friday. You would have gone there to attack anyway, whether you were one or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know what we have to do now. We need to get ourselves back into this tie. We have with that Matty Blair goal, but when I say back into a level playing field and see where we go, it's going to be difficult. It is really going to be difficult, but we got to approach the game in the mindset that we approach the second half. That's what we got to do. You know, if there's any seed of doubt in your head, then you can lose. Second half, we showed that real mentality to get back in the game and to keep us right in the game. So I was pleased with that.
Does it make it difficult in a sense for them? I suppose you'd sort of be in their possession a goal up than a goal down, but in terms of their mindset, how they approach the second game sort of thing, already being a goal up, whether they go hell for leather to try and score again, or is it in the back of the mind that they've got a goal to protect?
Lee Boyer's probably the man to ask there. You know, I'm not.
What would you feel in that situation?
I don't know. I'm not in that situation really. All I know is I need to win the game. We need to win the game. We need to score a goal to get back into the game. Charlton don't. They can finish 0-0 and they go through. But I think there'll be an expectancy from the Charlton faithful. I don't think Lee Boyer approaches games for a draw. Definitely doesn't. We've seen his teams all year. So I think he'll approach it to win a game.
They're a good side, aren't they?
They are a good side. And you know, we've had 4 good games now against them. But I think we've shown for large periods, and definitely in today's game and in the last game at home, that we can match them. We just need to keep believing in ourselves.
How were they down there after that?
Good. Yeah, they're good. I think the goals put us in a healthier position. You know, and when they come in, they know they're right in this tie. So we look forward to it.
Seems to have belief from stands as well. Got a good reception going on.
Yeah, we did. I think the fans realise that we are playing against a good team here. And I've heard a lot of talk. You know, I have to be honest. And I said to the group afterwards, I heard a lot of talk about people saying, Joe, Doncaster's done well to get to this point. Doncaster's done this. We have. But when we get to this point, you want to go that extra yard. And I emphasised that to the group this week. I emphasised it again after the game, that it's not about getting to this point and getting plaudits. It's about, can you go and make yourselves a hero? Can you go and be that team that got promoted, you know, from the playoffs? I think the last time they did it was 10, 11 years ago, if I'm correct in saying that. You know, so it's a real opportunity for these players to make themselves, you know, legends at this football club.
Getting this far with the minimum that you expected, wasn't it? Or
Definitely. We expected to be here. Within our group, we expected to be in the top 6. Now we've got to this stage, we want to try and go one further, but it's difficult. We know that. It's not as easy and black and white as that. You know, we have to be as professional in terms of our performance like we showed in the second half, and just deciding, not thinking, if I go here, it's going to be past there. No, just go. That's the way we play.
You'd mentioned in the week that somebody were really struggling to make it for this game.
Yeah, Malik was struggling. Didn't train for 2 or 3 days. You know, he felt a little something in his hamstring. It wasn't bad, but he's a strong boy and he's come through it.
When did he get the nod?
This morning at Halffield.
So, paid off.
Yeah, it has, and he's set the goal up. You know, he was good second half. He was a threat for a second half. Once we switched the shape that he's probably played in for most of the season.
Lee Boys just said that he changed their shape from when they came here last time. I had sort of respect for what you did that day. Obviously.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, he brought another centre half, didn't he? It felt like we had 16 centre halves at one stage. Yeah, so it was. It's nice to have that respect. I think this group has earned that in the 46 games that we've played this season. But Charlton's got good players. You know, Bale can play at centre half. He can play in midfield. And he's comfortable in both. You know, he really is. So it's. Listen, we're looking forward to the next game now. We're right in this tie, and we'll see what we can do.
You've already won a cup game at the Valley this season, Graham. What confidence do you take from that?
Well, that's something I spoke to the group about. We know how to win there, regardless of what team Charlton put out on that day. So we need to remember it and see if we can go do it again.
Malik and Cops have tended to stay on their own sides in recent games, whereas earlier in the season, Malik seemed to switch wings more. He's gone over there only 2 or 3 minutes and delivered a cross that's led to the goal. I mean, is there any thinking in that sort of thing?
He can play on both sides, Malik, and so can Cops, and so can Kieran, and so can Alfie, and so can Tyler. You know, and that's the good thing that we've got about our front players. But Malik has scored, I think, 14 goals, maybe more, 16 goals this season. I think probably 12 of them have been cutting in on the right-hand side. I think he's probably scored 1 from that side. Also springs to mind. So he's a threat. You know, doing it from both sides, probably more of a threat from the right.
Yeah, Andy, another win for Charlton against Doncaster this time. Away from home in a playoff first leg. Lee Bowyer says it's still not over, though. How important is it that they, again, remain level-headed?
Well, when you win away from home, complacency becomes even more of a possibility because you've got the advantage, you've got a home game to come. But in these type of situations, of course, coaches are going to work on tactics and formations. But for Lee, it's important to sit down with the players, really, and talk about their mindset, their approach in the second game. Be focused, keep it pretty simple. That's the important message I think Lee's got to get across to his players and to work on that aspect more. We know what a good side they are. They won the regular season game 2-0 against Doncaster, so clearly they can beat them. But again, it's don't beat yourselves. And again, it's maybe just saying, we'll do all the tactical stuff. We know how we want to play. I trust you that we can carry that out. But it's human beings, isn't it? And essentially, if you're ahead, sometimes you think, well, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to play our natural game. It'll just happen. We'll be fine. And Lee has to make sure that the players do try and play their natural game. And that's getting into their heads more than anything else. So it's more about having conversations with the players, each and every one of them, to keep them focused on the job ahead.
Yeah, and Don, for Doncaster, how important for them is it that late goal for them in the second leg now, going in with just that 1 goal behind?
Well, for me, it's probably brought them back from the dead, if you pardon the expression. You know, I think they were dead and buried. I think they're up against for me, the team in League One that finished the strongest and ticked literally every box in terms of they were scoring bundles of goals and teams were struggling to score against Charlton Athletic. So that Matty Blair goal really gives Doncaster an outside chance, and that's what it is. Let's get it into balance here. You know, that incredible run that Charlton had at the end of the season that propelled them up to third has actually, and I say this with respect to Doncaster Rovers, given them the tie against Doncaster when it very much looked as if it would be either Portsmouth or Sunderland that would play against Doncaster. And I'm saying that because Doncaster haven't beaten any of those teams all season. So Charlton were very much the favourites before the first leg at Doncaster. The way the game panned out, I think everybody saw why Charlton were the favourites, and they were trundling along comfortably until that late goal by Matty Blair that has given Doncaster a lifeline. I touched upon Derby County going to Ellen Road a little bit earlier on in this podcast when I said it's going to have to be a season's best performance, and I think exactly the same thing will apply to Doncaster Rovers. It's going to have to be the performance of the season and by a good distance.
Yeah, Andy, Don's touching it there, saying Doncaster will have to provide their best performance of the season to beat Charlton in this second leg. How, for Grant McCann, obviously, he knows Doncaster have to win now. Does that, in a way, ease the pressure on his side, knowing that they have to go for it at the Valley?
Well, it does focused their minds clear. I think knowing what you need to do is always helpful. They lost the game, but that's the positive they can take out of defeat. They know what they need to do, but there has to be a clear plan. You know, they only need a goal to get back into the tie, so there's no reason for them to go gung-ho right from the kickoff. The important thing for Doncaster is don't go further behind and say the first 15, 20 minutes. If they can do that, and the longer that goes on, the pressure just grows and grows on Charlton because they're at home. The home fans will expect it to be pretty straightforward. So Doncaster have to make it as hard as possible for Charlton to extend that lead. And then Doncaster, depending on the lay of the land, the last 20 minutes, then you can take risks. Then you can maybe try and do things that you wouldn't normally do from kickoff. But yeah, you can't just... So we need a goal. We need to win the game. Yes, of course you do. But you win it over 90 plus minutes, maybe extra time, maybe penalties. Plan for everything. Don't just say we need to win it in the first 15 minutes because that simply won't happen.
Yeah, Don, we mentioned it with Andy earlier, but Lee Bowyer's side obviously can't just be thinking that they're in the final now, can they?
No, and again, I mean, you look at the job that Lee has done over the last couple of seasons, and we have to remind ourselves that the very, very difficult off-the-field goings-on as well. I mean, they've almost been forgotten in the fact that Charlton Athletic have done so well over the last couple of seasons, reaching the playoffs both occasions. So I don't think for one second that Lee Bowyer will allow his players to believe that this tie is over. He will have them disciplined. He will have them organised. He will have them hard to break down. And he will know that he has the attacking players that can cause Doncaster Rovers problems. So it's always about getting the balance right. They do have a lead. I think that sometimes that can play against you if you haven't got the right attitude, in that you can get a little bit more negative than the style that has got you to where you actually are. I don't think that Charlton or Lee Bowyer will allow that to happen. I think they'll probably get on the front foot. There'll be a big crowd behind them. And it's clear that they are a level above Doncaster Rovers. That's not to say that they're gonna win on the night, but it is to say that if they apply themselves and they have the right mentality, that you would fancy their chances of winning the game.
Yeah, Andy, this is of course though the playoffs, and we've seen big shocks over the years, but Doncaster going through on Friday night would be right up there, wouldn't it? Finishing 15 points behind Charlton in the league.
It would be a major surprise, of course, after the first leg result as well. But before a ball was kicked, the league table doesn't lie. It shows the great footballing distance between the two teams. I think the first leg showed that as well. But at any level of football, whether it be the playoffs or not, there's no guarantees. Charlton have to earn the right to get to Wembley. And if they ease off, if they think the job is done, if Doncaster raise their game, anything can happen. And what Doncaster have to do is, you look at Liverpool and Tottenham, the comebacks we've seen in recent weeks, they've got a channel there in Liverpool and Tottenham. Anything can happen. I think in this tie, certainly in the second leg, all the pressure was always going to be on Charlton because of where they finished in the league and how many points ahead of Doncaster they were. So Doncaster need to keep that pressure on for as long as possible. If the scoreline's still 2-1 going into the last 15, 20 minutes in that second leg, I guarantee you Charlton will get nervous even though they're ahead. And so there is a possibility, but if there's an early goal from Charlton, that is the problem for Doncaster. I don't see them kind of clawing back a 2-goal disadvantage.
Yeah, Don, the pressure really now is on, isn't it, into these second legs? Not just in this game, but for all teams that are going into these final games of the season.
Well, absolutely, and I know that we keep harking back to the Champions League games, but they are unbelievably relevant, and I say that because of the pressure. I honestly felt when Barcelona went to Anfield and conceded the first goal, it still wasn't a problem. When they conceded the second goal, that's when it became a problem, because that's when the pressure really ramped up on them, and they knew that they couldn't afford to concede a third, because the likelihood was that they would be the ones to go on and lose the game. And so it happened. And Doncaster Rovers will have the same mentality. I spoke about every team that's facing a deficit going into the second leg. They really are going to use the Spurs 3-0 down at half time in the tie, and Liverpool 3-0 down against Barcelona. They are going to use that as part of their motivation and their belief that they can overturn the narrow deficits that they have. So it has been a big week of the comeback. For a few minutes in the Premier League, we thought there may have been something unbelievable going to happen when Brighton took the lead. But listen, the bottom line for me is, in general terms, the team that wins a playoff game over 2 legs usually 99.9% of the time the team that deserves to.
And we'll find out who deserves to win those games all across this week. An exciting end to the season. The climax is really coming now, isn't it, going into these final playoff games? Don, Andy, thank you very much as always. That's it from us this week. Join us again next time when we'll know who exactly is going through to Wembley.
The official EFL Podcast. The best reaction to all the match action. Available every week.